Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Guys, now I'm going to explain you about find the domain of the question is I have a question and the question is y is equal to 1 divided by under root 1 plus 2 sine x. This is the function which is given and the question is find the domain. Find the domain. As I told you in my previous lecture and in my previous lecture I explained you about the concept of the domain, right? Here this questions involving sine x, right? As I told you in my previous lecture that you will see a lot of questions and the equation, the function has sign, right? And then you have to find the domain, okay? So how to find the domain of this one, okay? So I'm going to explain you here and from this video you can understand the whole concept of domain and you must know about the function. And I told you about the square root function before, or what is the domain of the square root function. I told you about what is the domain of the rational function. So because as you see here in this question, it's not just have a trigonometric function, it has a square root function, it's a rational function. I can tell you in this function you can say we have a rational function, right? A function which is written up and down, right, in the numerator and the denominator, right? So you can say upside is 1, downside is this one, so you can say this is also a rational function. Second, it has a square root functions, right? Means square root 1 plus 2x, 2 sine x, and the third one is a sine x. So you can see one questions having 3 questions: square root function, rational function, and trigonometric function. Okay. So now we are going to find out the domain of this one. No problem, because we know all the concept. Okay, so I'm going to solve this question. Okay, so please see here, first of all we know that the square root here, if you see this is square root only, right? 1 plus 2 sine x, okay? 1 plus 2 sine x in square root. We know very well that this values, this one, okay, this value is always what? It must be 0 or greater than 0, yes or no? Because I told you before, if you have y is equal to under root x, so this y is defined when x is what? 0 or greater than 0, okay? If you have y is equal to under root x. But here the concept is, this is not y is equal to under root x, this is like y over 1 by under root x. So what is the domain here? Here you can say if the value of x is greater than 0, not equal to 0, there is a difference between this function and this function, right? Here it exists when you plug in x is equal to 0, but this one if you put x 0, this value does not exist. So for this function x must be what? Greater than 0. Here you can say this is what the denominator. So here we cannot say that this value is equal to 0, so this is wrong, and then you have to take only this condition, right? So 1 plus 2 sine x must be greater than 0. So if this value is positive here, the function exists, right? Means if you have a square root and you have any positive values, you can say, right, any positive value. I will explain you everything in detail. So the function always exists, right? So we can say, so 1 plus 2 sine x must be what? Greater than 0. Okay, so this now become inequality. Okay, so no problem, we will solve this question. Okay, so here we can solve this 2 sine x, okay? This one is shifted on the right side to this is -1, now divided by 2, this will cancel. Now you have what? Sine x is greater than -1 by 2. Means means what value of x you plug in here, and the sin x has the greater value, not minus 1 by 2. I'm not talking about the zeros. We don't want the value of x I plug in and the sin x has minus 1 by 2. No. We want the value of x where sin x is greater than minus 0.5, greater than minus 1 by 2. Okay, this means this is inequality. It does not have just one unique solution. It has a lot of solution from minus infinity to positive infinity, because these questions involve inequality, right? Okay, no problem. So first of all, I'm going to give you some, the tricks. How will you find the domain of such functions if the function involving the inequality, right? Okay, so you must know what is the graph of sin x. I told you this one in my previous video. So the graph of sin, we will solve this question by graph, okay? And here we will not discuss about just one period, okay? Right? Okay, so for example, sine graph is always like this, you know very well. And so on. In the same way here, you can see. And so on. Okay? This is your x-axis. And this is your what? Y-axis. Okay? And here, the positive. What is the range here? +1. And this is what? -1. But guys, I want the value of the sin x, which is greater than minus is down, and this is what? 0.5. You can say this point, right? This is, see, this is what? -12. Or you can say this is what? -0.5. Okay? So I'm going to draw values, right? So if you draw a line, okay? So here, and one period is here. This is 2 pi. And this is pi. This is your one period from here to here. So it's better if I can explain you. I can tell you the one value, and after then you just add +2 in pi, because it has a periodic function, right? So it will repeat the same process. So the period is what? 2 pi, right? Okay. And the same way, this is what? 2 pi minus 2 pi. This is minus pi, and this is what? Pi, and so on, right? Okay. The question here, we want the positive value of x. So as you can see from the figure, if you can see the figure here, okay, see, when the function has positive value, you can say this is positive, okay, this is positive, this is positive, okay. So if you see, I'm going to make this interval here, see, because here at this point the function has -1 by 2, this 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 one here is -1 by 2 for different values of x, okay. But I don't want -1 by 2. I want the value which is greater than -1 by 2. So here, what are the intersections? Just find out. Just take one interval, okay? It's so easy for you. So I'm going to take this one. Can you take this point? I'm going to take a point A. And one point here, you can say this point is B, okay? You can see here, our graph is up, greater than 0. You can see here, the graph here. This is positive. If you are from this one to this one, okay, if you are from this one to this one, look, I'm going to draw a line here. I don't know what value is here and what value is here, okay. If I find out this value here and this value here, if I find out, and then we will go from A to B. From A to B, the function has always the value which is greater than -half, right? Okay, so the question, how will you find this value and this value? How to find this one, okay? And the same thing we will find out further, right? Okay, so this one, as you can see, this one has negative value and this one has the positive values. This is greater than pi, right? Because this is pi is 3.14, so this value is greater than 3.14, okay? So we want these 2 points. And you can find here also, you see, this is, and this is, for example, this is what? C, and this is D, for example. This also has what? This intersection point and this intersection point, right? This is also a positive values. Or you can say here also, see, this one and this one. I mean this one and this one. has also got the positive values. Okay, so I'm not going to calculate all. I just want to find out just one and then add plus 2 and pi. You will find the same result. Okay, so how to find these points A and B? How to find this A and B? So it's very simple here. I'm going to tell you the tricks. For example, here, for a while, okay, for a while, you must know at what values of x the function has minus 1 by 2 only. Okay, for a while, okay, for a period. Okay, so if you know what value of x the function has minus half only, okay, to find the zeros only. Okay, so we have sine x, and this is what, minus half. So we can say for the sine x, this can be written as sine minus pi over 6, right? Pi over 6 is 30 degree, and sine minus theta, remember one thing, sine minus x is always equal to sine x. Remember this one. This is the property of sine, right? Sine minus theta, because this is the odd function. It is symmetric to the y, symmetric to the origin, right? So sine minus x is always equal to sine x. So here we have minus 1 by 2, means this is what? Sine minus pi by 6 can be written as what? For example, minus sine pi by 6. And this is minus, and sine pi by 6 means 30 degree, and sine 30 is what? Half. So you can say we got it minus half. So here, we just erase this part. If we just erase this part, so we know that the first sine x, which is equal to sine minus pi by 6 here. So we told you in my previous lecture, if sine x is equal to sine alpha, so x is equal to what? N pi plus minus 1 power n alpha. I told you this one, to find the zeros from minus infinity to positive infinity. So we, using this formula, we can just find out the zeros only, right? We just find out these two values, A and B only, okay? So how will you find here? Alpha is equal to what? You can say this is sine x and this is alpha. This is considered to be a alpha, right? So if you use this formula, so you can say x is equal to n pi plus minus 1 power n, and alpha is minus pi by 6. Okay, here where you can say where n belongs to integers. Integers mean the positive integers, the negative integer included with 0. Okay, so you can say nx is equal to n pi plus minus 1 power n alpha. Okay, and start from 0. You can find the right side, just from here to here, from A to B, we are going right side, right? We can just find out two consecutive zeros where we just put it the value of x, and we can find out the function has minus half. Okay, so I'm going to put first n is equal to 0 in positive directions, right? So here I'm going to put n is equal to 0. If you put n is equal to 0, we can just find out a. You will see here, if you put n is equal to 0, so x is equal to what? 0 pi plus minus 1 power n 0 in minus pi by 6. So x is equal to, this is 0, this is, if you have any number and the power is 0, the answer is 1. So this is 1, and this is minus pi by 6. If you just 0 minus pi by 6, 0 means nothing, you have minus pi by 6. It means minus 30 degree. The first value, the A is here, where I make the question mark. You can say this is minus pi by 6. Okay, this point I got it, which is minus pi by 6. And now the next point on the right side means I'm talking about the B. How do you find the value of B here? So what you have to do, you have to take the value of n 1. Okay, and you can find the next consecutive intersection point, or you can say the zeros. Okay, so how? I'm going to explain you here. Okay, so just give me a 15 second. Okay, so now I'm going to find out the B point, right? So again, what we have to do, you just plug in x is equal to 1, not x, sorry. You have to plug in n. You have to plug in here n. So n is equal to 1. Okay, I'm not saying that you just have to put only n is equal to 1. It's up to you. Whatever the value of n you will take it, you will find at that value of x the function has -1/2. Okay, so I'm just finding out these two because I have to find just one. Okay, so n is equal to 1. So here you can see here, so x is equal to 1 multiplied by pi plus -1 power 1, and this is what alpha was what, minus pi by 6. So this is x, which is pi, and this is what -1 power n, this is minus, you can say plus, this is -1, and this is what, minus pi by 6. So x is equal to pi minus plus, so this is what, pi over 6. So 6 pi, if you take the LCM, this is 6 pi plus pi, you can say 7 pi over 6. The next value of x is 7 pi by 6. And guys, if you say pi over 6 radian, right here, pi over 6 radian means 30 degree, right? And this 30 degree multiplied by 7, you can say how much, 210, which is just 30 degree greater from 180, right? So you know this is pi, right, which is 180, and this is what, 210. This point I got it here. This point is what, 210 degree, or you can say 7 pi by 6. So alhamdulillah, I got the interval from minus pi by 6 to 7 pi by 6. You have a values of sign where the sign is greater than minus half. Okay, so I find out, and I'm going to use not the closed bracket, I will use the open bracket, because I don't want the exact value of x. I don't want the zeros. I want the values which is greater than minus half. So the domain here, I'm going, because I just find out, once you have just 2 points, it is so easy to explain the domain of a given function. Okay, so how you do it, I will explain you here. See, once you have just 2 points, okay, so I'm going to write down here. So the domain, you can say x is domain, right? This is your domain, belongs to. So first of all, you make 2 bracket, this one, the big bracket, okay? These are 2 open bracket, not the closed bracket, right? Okay, so what was the first value here? This was minus pi by 6. You just write down minus pi by 6, okay? And then make comma, okay? And the next value is what? 7 pi by 6. So you have a 7 pi by 6. Listen, so here minus pi by 6 and here 7 pi by 6, right? Okay, now what you have to do it, because I know what is the period, 2 pi, right? It's 2 pi. So just add here 2n pi here, and here also 2n pi. Means the first time you take n is equal to 0, then 10 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the same way here, you can find the interval and where the function has greater than minus half. Okay, so the domain here, you can say here, I'm going to write down this, this is u, and here I'm going to write down what? N belongs to what? Integers. You can say where n belongs to what? Integers means you can say z, okay? You can take the positive value, you can take the negative value, doesn't matter. Okay, please listen, these are the domain, okay? Means here, okay, for example here, this one, why we add 2n pi? Because this is a periodic function, it will repeat, okay, again and again and again and again. So I'm not the one to explain you each and every values of x, okay? We just give you 2 values, and after then I add plus 2n pi here, plus 2n pi. You can also write down n is equal to positive 1, n is equal to negative 1. When you have a positive 1, you will be on the right directions, right? You have a positive values of x, okay? This side, okay? Positive infinity. When you are going to take n, because this graph is also, you can make it on the left side, So you can just take n is equal to what? -1 here. Okay, so you will find an integer. For example, I'm going to give you one example. Okay, so your domain is this one, your answer is finished. Okay, but I want to tell you, for example, from here to here, now this is finished. Now next is this one. Can you see this one, this point? I'm going to give you here m and n, right? So this is also a positive, right? So you can say this is also a positive, the positive area, right? Means greater than -half. So what you have to do here, just the same things. Okay, how will you find out this interval here? So just put n is equal to what? Because when you put n equal to 0, this is -π/6. So this is -π/6. Next point, you will just find out m. How? When you put n is equal to 1. So if you put n is equal to 1 here, what is the interval? For example, so this is -π/6 and n is equal to 1 means 2 pi, right? So if you add them, this is what, 6 to 12, 12 minus 1, 11, 11 pi/6 to this point is m. We can say this is 11 pi/6. If you want to calculate, this is 11 and pi/6 radian is 30. So this is what? 330 degree, which is less than 2 pi. So this point m is 330 degree, or you can say this is what? 11 pi/6, right? 11 pi/6 radian. Okay, 11 pi/6. So one point I just find out, this one, and we also want to find out the point n. So here you also here comma, you can say here n is equal to 1. So this is what? 7 pi/6 and plus 2 pi, right? So you can say 6 multiplied by 2, 12, 12 and 7, 19, 19 pi/6. So from 11 pi/6 to 19 pi/6, again the function has what? The function has a value which is greater than -half. Okay, and so on. You can just find out on this direction, and if you want to find out here, just put n is equal to what? -1. Okay, so it's up to it depends upon the value of n. So guys, the domain here is as I told you, the domain here where sin x is greater than -half, the domain is -π/6 plus 2n pi to 7 pi/6 plus 2n pi. Remember one thing in your mind, the n belongs to integers. You can also write down z here, or I, doesn't matter. I already told you n is integers. You can take the positive integers, negative integers, as well as 0. Okay, so this is the domain of the given function. Guys, I hope you understand. Please watch my next video where you will see an interesting question, and again I am going to find out the domain. I hope guys you all understand. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.